2, 1.
Hi, I'm Jeff Forster. I want to welcome you to another episode of A Doctor's in the House. We have a very special episode set up for you. I think you're going to enjoy it today. And in the meantime, I just want to remind you that our purpose for doing this show is to kind of give a local perspective from scientists and doctors and other community experts on this COVID-19 issue and how to deal with quarantining and all of those things. So as usual, we have Dr. Bisham Singh with us. Welcome to the show, Dr. Singh. And we'll be co-hosting today. Just to remind you, Dr. Singh had a fellowship at the DMC as an administrative fellow for a number of years and has continued to be very active locally and globally, improving healthcare and starting hospitals and things around the world. And so I'm really glad that you get to be with us today. And then we also have my trainer, Chris May. He has been in the industry, the fitness industry, for over 10 years as a certified trainer. He's instructed yoga and CrossFit and corrective movement and boxing and kickboxing and HIIT training and so many more, training literally thousands of individuals from grandmothers and grandfathers down to children and parents and everybody in between. He's also had an opportunity to train NFL players and professional boxers and UFC fighters. And so I just want to welcome you, Chris, to the show today.
Thank you so much. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be good. Hopefully he'll be gentler on you than he is usually on me today. And then we also have back with us Dr. Chris Nelson. Dr. Nelson is a professor down in Florida. He's also a research scientist and an immunity expert. So we're going to be talking about several of those things today. So let us jump right into this. We have several questions. And then if you would like to ask questions to our guests today, make sure if you're watching on Facebook or on YouTube live, just make sure that you put those questions in the comments and our people will look for those. Make sure they get them to the team before we're done today. We'll try to accommodate as many of those questions as possible. So Chris May, I see you're sitting there in your gym, which is great. I've worked out there before. I want to ask you, first of all, the big concern for so many of us in this quarantine time is we're going to put on weight. We're all sitting around watching, the Tiger King or something, and we're snacking and we're not doing much right now. Everybody's staying in their house. And so I've heard people mention this. I started talking about it a couple weeks ago. I'm afraid of putting on the quarantine 15. I don't want to put in 15 pounds just because I'm sitting on my couch. So do you have any suggestions about that?
Yeah, I think what most people are nervous about, and they get into the habit of snacking and just grabbing food from the kitchen, and it's only a walk away, right? It doesn't cost anything. It's already there. It's easy to grab, and I'm definitely do that as well. Easy to grab a quick protein bar or whatever it may be. However, I think the point is just making sure you're not in a calorie surplus. So I don't want to say don't snack. It's totally cool. Grab a snack if you need to. Grab something to drink. Enjoy the movie. You're at home with the kids, whatever it may be. But make sure that weight's not going up. And one thing that you can get in the habit of is just every day in the morning weighing yourself before you eat or you drink. And just sticking to a simple calorie deficit diet. So you're allowed to have that snack as long as you're maintaining your calories under for being in a surplus and gaining weight.
Where's the best place for people to find out what their calorie intake should be, considering we're fairly sedentary right now? Is there an app or a website that you'd suggest?
Yeah, absolutely. So just the first one that comes to my head is maintaining something called a macro-based diet. So making sure that you're getting in the correct amount of carbohydrates, fat, and then also protein. Those are your 3 macros. And those all add up to calories. So for example, people always get nervous. They're not tracking calories, they're tracking macros. And that's basically the same thing. It's just a little bit more fine tuning. So going to a website such as bodybuilding.com, and I know bodybuilding.com might make people nervous by the name, but they have a great macro calculator that you can actually put in your weight, your activity for the day, because that's going to be different than it was prior. And putting in your what you're looking to do, lose weight, maintain weight, and they'll spit out some macros for you. And then also always looking into possibly during this time, since you are at home, finding a coach such as myself or other online coaches that you may know to work with you for your macros, much like you've done in the past, Jeff.
Right. I've also been using the free version of MyFitnessPal, and that can kind of tell me when I put in what my target weight was and what my current weight was and how many pounds a week I want to lose. It kind of set out there for me the target calorie intake, and then I was able to kind of set some of those macros for myself in there. Is that a good option, or?
Yeah, MyFitnessPal is terrific, and it's a free app, so it's incredible. I use MyFitnessPal every single day, and I think the point here is for most people is it's kind of like opening your bank account, right? Like you don't just take money in and spend money. You want to make sure that you know exactly what's going on in the bank account. The same thing when it goes to going in your body, out of your body, what you're burning, what you're taking in. You just want to be aware of your weight, of those calories you're bringing in. So as long as you find a system that works for you to track what you're burning, what you're taking in, you're going to be in good shape.
Yeah, I noticed for myself, keeping track really helped me make better decisions. When I'm not keeping track, it's French fries, potato chips, and ice cream. When I am keeping track, sometimes it's more apples and salads. And because when I see it happening on the screen, it helps me maybe be a little bit more conscious in other decisions then. So yeah, I've really enjoyed using the MyFitnessPal app. So then here's the other thing. We've got our kids at home. Normally they're very active, but now there's way more sitting around on the couch or laying on their beds and playing video games or watching movies. So, you lead me, at least, in boxer workouts, and those are pretty strong and extreme workouts. Surely not everybody, the grandmas and grandpas that are watching and the children, they're not necessarily needing that kind of workout. Do you have any suggestions with how to stay active and what those benefits are right now?
Yeah, number one, I just think there's so many resources out there. So if you're looking for resources to stay active, they're there. You can find them. So don't let the lack of resources be an excuse or your downfall. So for example, just going to a website like Title Boxing Club On Demand.com, they're giving away free 30 days of in your house by yourself. Nobody else is watching boxing. I have this morning, me and my daughter, she went on her scooter. I went for a run with a 28-pound vest. Not everybody has to do the extreme as me, but just the point of getting out of the house, she did yoga right after on something called Cosmic Kids Yoga that you can pull up on YouTube. She loves it. It's different cartoon themed. So I think as long as you're searching out for those resources, they're definitely there for you.
Yeah, the Title Boxing On Demand has been really interesting. It's amazing the kind of cardio workout you can get without a lot of stress on your body, just shadow boxing.
Absolutely.
Right? So just the movements, learning the different movements and things, and then the pace of it, it's pretty incredible. And then also on that same website, I noticed there's a lot of stretching exercises and those kinds of things, which anybody can do that because you're doing it at your pace. So a grandfather could get up and use the same thing. He'd be going at a different pace, but it would still be using the big movement muscles, which is one of the things I wanted to bring up. And we talked about this right before the show started. And I think Dr. Nelson may have some thoughts on this. Dr. Singh mentioned it as well, that when we start using big muscles, it's one of the things that starts to boost some of our immune system. You guys want to talk about that? Dr. Singh, I think you talked a little bit about the science behind why that happens.
Right. So research has shown in physiologists that the large muscle mass, the large muscle groups in the legs and the back, what weight trainers have and professional athletes have always known, the best way to start boosting that immunity, but also the metabolism, is to work those muscles. They have something called the P450, the mitochondria, which is the powerhouse of the cells. And each cell, they have the greatest concentrations of the mitochondria in those muscles. So once you start using that, the powerhouse of the cell starts activating, and then you start seeing the cascade and the benefits of a good workout. So when you're saying those muscle groups,
those muscle groups, you're talking mainly about your thighs and your glutes, your rear end,
thighs, glutes,
maybe your back and chest.
Yeah, the trapezius, the back muscles as well. So
So it doesn't require a bodybuilder. I mean, Chris is sitting there in his gym with all those weights and stuff around. The grandmother in her living room or the kids, it's not about pumping iron necessarily to get that. They would get those benefits from doing a few squats or from doing some leg lifts or even just out on a walk. Dr. Nelson, you mentioned that you got out and took a pretty extended walk, right?
Right. Walking is great exercise. And you don't have to go too fast. Though 2 miles an hour, 2.5 miles an hour seems to be a really good goal for somebody. I'm 74 years old, so I'm not excuse me, too much into the heavy, um, intense workouts anymore. But just getting out and moving helps tremendously.
Right. Just using those big muscles then helps trigger that powerhouse in the mitochondria that you were talking about, Dr. Singh. That's what you're saying, is any kind of movement is going to help boost some of your immune system. Is that what you're saying?
Right. Now, remember, Chris talked about it, and probably we'll get into some stretching in the future in a little bit, just even stretching. Chris probably will talk about that a little later. We're confined. Remember, we still need to follow those rules. We are of quarantining ourselves at home. So if you walk as much as you can, even in and out, but also skipping. So if you're able to, making sure that you check with your physician as well, what exercise you're able to tolerate, and with your heart and they know your medical condition. But just average, just stretching, you're skipping, you can do quite a bit. You can do quite a bit just being at home, like you said, the squats. Chris probably can offer you a lot of exercise tips from that, right, Chris?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think too, going back to like working large muscle groups for a guy, for example, hormone levels, all that's going to get benefits from working large muscle groups. So for example, squatting, the most testosterone in your body is produced in your legs. So when you are squatting, doing those type of movements, you're going to be increasing hormones, which is great for everybody.
So one of my goals starting in January, working out with Chris May, I needed to lose some weight and all those things. So I lost 26 pounds or so. But then all of a sudden now I found myself at home a lot more, working from home. I'm not out having to even just walk from the parking lot into my office or walk to go get a drink or whatever. Now it's just everything's in my house. And so I'm having to make specific choices to get outside and all those kinds of things. So my goal lately has not been so much to keep losing weight. I just want to offset the calories I'm taking in because I'm watching more movies. So having taking the 2-mile walk, like Dr. Nelson mentioned, or doing a few squats or whatever, that helps increase my calorie burn for the day, which then offsets maybe the extra popcorn I had while we watched that movie as a family that night. And so what I don't want to do is put on an extra 15 pounds because we're sitting around for a couple of months.
Yeah, absolutely. I think also, like you said, walking that line of calorie surplus versus calorie deficit. For example, you've been in the last 8 to 10 weeks, which you've been absolutely crushing it. You've been in a calorie deficit. So you've been losing weight on a weekly basis, 2 to 3 pounds a week, which is fantastic. The perfect amount that we want to kind of see clients stay at. And now, you just want to make sure that you're not increasing weight by going into calorie surplus, which is super easy to do. One tip that I have for people who have been working out, such as yourself, prior to the quarantine, is staying in your same schedule. So for example, for me, I'm used to working out every day at 4:30 a.m. Till about 6:30 a.m. That's kind of my schedule, because then I'm at the gym after that. So I'm not getting up at 4:30, but this morning I got up at 5 and I worked out at 5:30, right? Did I want to wake up at 5? Would I rather sleep until my daughter wakes me up? Of course, but that staying in that continuous schedule for me has been a great kind of figuring out the first week, but I feel like it's been a great process for me, just trying to stay in that same workout schedule.
That question just popped up online. Somebody asked specifically, any suggestions on sleep schedules during this time? So you kind of referenced that. Does sleep have an impact on our immune systems? I think that's worth asking. And then what are the benefits of sleep? You have a lot of Harvard research and stuff on exercise and physical health. Yeah. You guys want to talk about that a little bit? What's the benefits of sleep, and what about a sleep schedule?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I can definitely talk about my own experience as far as what makes me feel the most strong, so I have something called Crohn's disease, what makes my digestion feel the best, and that's getting an adequate amount of sleep. And that's exactly what I was saying before is, before the quarantine, I was going to bed at 10:30, maybe now I'm going to bed at 11:30, but I'm still trying to get those hours that I need to make me feel the best, the sharpest mentally, physically, and emotionally. And I'm sure the doctors can pitch in a lot more information than I can.
You know, you're right, you're absolutely right. Keeping that schedule is key, getting that balance. But sleep, to be honest with you, that's a very good question. Sleep is one of the most important factors to help regulate and boost your immune system. Having good rest as well as good food. So it begins with rest. In health, that resets the body, resets the clock, and you get up in the morning and your toxins are removed and the body's ready to fight and battle the next day. So sleep and regular sleep cycles. You know, so we always have a tendency to watch movies in the night. We can go up to 11, 12, whatever your schedule was prior to this quarantine. Try to maintain it, try to get up, and try to add a few more things during the day. One of the things that we help break it, and I've been trying to do, was actually exercise on the hour. So for an hour, it doesn't happen all the time, trust me. It's a battle, but every hour, try to take a 10-minute break, do something, movement. Just walk, just get up. Even, believe it or not, just going up the stairs, down the stairs a few times, and sometimes it helps.
I read a thing recently about the importance of maintaining some normalcy, as much normalcy as possible. The mental health benefit of getting up in the morning, shaving, taking a shower, putting on clothes like you would wear to the office or whatever, being intentional about that normal routine, open the blinds, right? Start working before you sit down for the television or whatever. The mental health benefits behind that. They said when you start feeling depressed, you also are depressing your immune system. When you feel positive and you're enthusiastic and life is relatively normal for you, then you're boosting. Do you guys have, maybe Dr. Nelson, do you have any thoughts on that with regard to routine and positivity and those kinds of things boosting your immune system?
Yeah, for sure. The most important thing is to maintain a normal schedule, as we've been talking about. Get up, get dressed. You know, one of the most important things, I read a graduation speech one time, and the guy said the most important thing to do every morning when you get up, make your bed. This is sort of, you know, maintain that routine. Hopefully, if you work from home, your work area is in a different part of your home, maybe upstairs, out in another room, whatever. And when you go to the office, go to the office, and just sort of maintain that whole routine. Try to maintain good nutrition. We talked a little bit about that before, and junk food is tempting when you're at home, but totally bad for you. So lots of protein, lots of healthy fats, not so much in the carbohydrates. Try not to eat things out of boxes. Prepared meals, you know, TV dinners and that sort of thing are bad. But again, you're sort of weighing off the convenience of that sort of thing. So I think that's really important. But try to maintain as much of your normal routine as you can.
Chris May, you had some things, we were talking about endorphins and all of that before we came on. One of our reasons for wanting to munch, I just read an article this week that was talking about one of the motivations behind munching is almost on a hormonal level. You have all these little things that happen throughout the day that bring a little bit of pleasure, right? You enjoy walking over and talking to a coworker. You enjoy stepping out in the sunshine when you get out of the car and walk into your office. There's all these little shots of endorphins that we get that right now, because our routine is out of whack and because we're not necessarily engaging on those little pleasurable things anymore, our body is looking for those endorphin shots, and there's a lot of salt and there's a lot of carbohydrates and those kinds of things and those hormones that bring that pleasure. And so what happens is we wind up going to those salty, carbohydrate heavy snacks and that kind of thing. But I noticed that in your notes, your talking notes, you had a lot to say about physical health, brain health, endorphins, all that kind of stuff. What do you have to say about those things right now with regard to exercise and diet and all that?
Yeah, absolutely. So this comes in during the day. Your normal habit is just to get waves of different experiences in your brain. So whether you're going to work, whether you're looking at your screen and you're looking on Instagram, you're scrolling Instagram, during the day, all these different things are making your brain experience different things, whether it's dopamine. And now we have to figure out a way to keep our brain in line with good positive brain waves, right? So for example, sorry, that was pretty loud. Good positive brain waves. So for example, when you work out, you're getting a rush of endorphins, right? So that's going to give you that positive feeling, that feel good mentality after you get done working out. And even during, you might not like it during, but post that workout, it's going to benefit you. So whether, during this time you may be struggling with depression or anxiety, and you may have some sort of fear going on, and that's totally normal. But at the same time, working out and getting your body moving, it's hard to work out, go for a run, and be angry the whole time, because you're benefiting. At the same time, you're getting those chemicals to your brain to kind of give you that rush throughout the rest of the day. And that's one reason I work out early, and not everybody's an early bird, but because I do want to have those feel-good chemicals through the rest of my day.
So then, Chris May, what are some solutions? I know that you have a website, preacherchris.com, which, by the way, just so you know, at Chris's gyms, all of the trainers have different nicknames. There's what are some of the nicknames? You got Brown Thunder,
Thunder, Hot Chocolate, Dark Knight, The Killer.
Yeah, The Killer. That I'm always terrified when I find out The Killer is doing one of the training sessions. So Chris's nickname is Preacher Chris. Chris has a bachelor's degree in biblical studies as well. He's a Renaissance man, I think. He does all kinds of things. So preacherchris.com, what is going to be the benefit to a normal person? I mean, you're not doing hardcore workouts and stuff like that on that website, are you? Are there some normal person, maybe beginner stuff, things good for kids and moms and dads to maybe get started moving?
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to see some crazy stuff or have some fun, feel free to follow me on Instagram at preacher_Chris. That's always a good one. But yeah, if you just want to go to preacherchris.com, submit your email and a phone number, and we're just going to be sending out things throughout the week, just tips, resources, quick things that can get you moving. So the good thing for me is my hobby, and also something that I love, is working out. And I totally realize that not everybody loves working out as much as I do, and that's okay. For example, I know you're a history guy, right? You're a history guy? Yeah. So for example, if you put a history book in front of my face, I'm probably going to fall asleep in a minute. So the same way goes for other people when it comes to working out. Not everybody loves working out, and that's okay. But we do want to keep you moving, whether it's through motivation, different resources for your kids. I have a 4-year-old, so that's something that I've been thinking about regularly, how I can keep her moving, having fun with it, and not trying to, force it on her. So just different little workout tips, nutrition tips, different resources that we can make sure people are keeping their bodies in good shape and benefiting themselves during this quarantine.
I noticed on your Instagram page, which you should follow him on Instagram just to watch. He works out with NFL players and fighters and all that, and his workouts are insane on his Instagram page. I don't even, at this point, I'm not even aspiring to that level yet. But I do know that on that page, you wind up giving some like workouts of the day, and it's not requiring a bunch of equipment or anything. It's a lot of body weight stuff, right? Are you planning on doing the same thing, maybe for entry level workouts and stuff like that, workout of the day kind of stuff on your preacherchris.com website?
Yeah, so actually we've been recording a ton the last couple of days, simply because of what's going on and the feedback I've been getting. And not everybody, like I said, wants to work out for an hour and a half. So we have been recording a ton of video content that's going to start releasing Monday. And with regards to just simple activities, whether it's a 10-minute, 20-minute, 30-minute activity that you can do throughout the day, that's going to benefit you.
One of the things that you encouraged me with, and I know workouts for people who aren't accustomed to it can be a little intimidating. One of the things early on that you said to me was, this is your workout. It's not my workout. It's your workout, Jeff. So you do what you can do, and you do what's beneficial to you. And I remember thinking, okay, that gave me permission to push as hard as I could push, but I wasn't trying to please you, and I wasn't trying to keep up with you. I was doing my thing, and every bit of movement and every bit of exercise winds up making me a little bit better than I was before I started that. So that was always an encouragement. I know that you're so encouraging. He's a great trainer. One of the benefits of working out with trainers is that they challenge you and keep you accountable, all those kinds of things. let me pivot for just a second. Dr. Nelson, on your last episode, we talked about vitamins and things like that that would help boost your immune system and rev up your immune system. And recently, I guess just recently, one of our state legislators passed away from this COVID-19 virus. And then I think just yesterday, one of our interns of one of our state legislatures just passed away. And he's a young guy without any real significant underlying health issues. And so immune system is one of the only things that we have to really fight this internally for us right now. And so you mentioned vitamin C and vitamin D and selenium and zinc to help boost our immune system. A question that just came in was, are there any vitamin supplements to help us rev up our fat burning abilities that also would help with the immune system thing? Do you have any thoughts about that? I'd love it if there's a magic pill.
The best way to rev up your fat burning system is to move, exercise. And that, as we've talked about this morning, can also help your immune system. Unfortunately, there's no easy fix. There's no pill in a bottle that'll make you become fit and lose 30 pounds in a week, in spite of all of these things that we get, advertisements online and in the email. You know, mom loses 25 pounds overnight with simple pill, no exercise. Can't do it. Can't do it. So good nutrition. You got to put good food in the furnace to burn, and exercise. Vitamin C is extremely important, and again, liposomal vitamin C is the form that gets best absorbed. It's so important, and it's hard to find in the corner drugstores. So go online. Amazon is a good source, a source in which I have absolutely no financial interest is lifeextension.com, and they have really good supplements and easy to order online. And as I said, I have no financial interest in them. Vitamin D, make sure your vitamin D intake is adequate. We should, the FDA recommendations are really woefully low. Most authorities now think that your vitamin D level should be around 50 or more. And you can easily have that checked by your physician. I have to take 10,000 units a day to keep mine up, and I live in Florida, the Sunshine State.
Wow.
So it depends. It depends on individuals.
When you say 10,000 units, is that 10,000 milligrams or 10,000 what?
A unit is different. Unit is different than milligrams. And so it's labeled right on the vitamin D. And my vitamin D that I get at the drugstore is 5,000 units, and I take 2 of them a day.
Okay. All right. Well, good. So there is no magic pill or vitamin that burns fat for us, which is unfortunate. But with regard to building our immunity, movement is that balance. Movement is the thing that can boost our immunity, boost our own endorphins and dopamine and all those good feeling hormones and chemicals in our body. And then it also helps us fight the quarantine 15-pound thing. Dr. Singh, I'd like to pivot just a little bit more before we finish up. We only have just a couple more minutes. But in one of our previous episodes, we talked about the opportunity to acquire some masks and things like that for our frontline people. And then since then, you've also moved into another opportunity maybe to serve our frontline people with regard to our nurses and our doctors and others. Do you want to talk about those very quickly before we sign off?
Sure. We have access to those masks. Obviously, there are shortages. We have states competing against these masks. And so we have access to buy them. So we put it out, obviously, through Heritage Church to do a fundraiser to acquire these masks so we can help our first responders, the doctors, the nurses, the paramedics, these N95 masks that are available. So we're asking that you actually, I'll be putting an ad on my Facebook to actually, or where to go and how to fund this to Heritage Church. But also there's some interesting partnership that's going on. There's some groups that are trying to provide fresh fruits and vegetables for our first responders, for the doctors and the nurses that are overworked, any of the paramedics and just healthcare staff in general. And so they designated me to help run the Michigan section of this. And so I should be having something like that on my Facebook and my Twitter, and then on my my website.
Okay. So if you are interested in helping us acquire as many masks as possible for our frontline workers, you can go to heritagechurch.com. There's a button, Give Help, and in that Give Help section, you can give money online through a secure online money giving app. And so feel comfortable with that. And 100% of what comes in for masks, we will give away. Heritage Church won't keep any of that money. And then with regard to finding out about how to get the fruits and vegetables and those kinds of things to the doctors and the nurses and the food, you can find out more about that at drbishamsingh.com on his website as well. Well, guys, I want to give you an opportunity, each of you, for a final word. We'll start off with Chris May. Chris, what is your final word that you want to leave the people with today?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like just have fun, find something that you enjoy, whether that is going for a walk, whether that is putting a bunch of heavy weight on your back and learning how to squat, or maybe hitting a heavy bag like you've been getting into. But just find something you enjoy, and at the same time, maybe find a way to track your calories or your macros, or something that you can learn at the same time, and stay in a calorie deficit if your goal is to lose weight, or at least maintain your current weight.
Good. Dr. Nelson?
Well, I think my final word would be to maintain your normal schedule as best you can. Try and eat good food. Don't snack on junk food. Eat good food. And there's plenty of good snacks out there. One of my favorites is sardines, and I've got a lot of cans of sardines in my pantry, and that's great nutrition. Fatty fish, good for you, and so I think that's important. And as Chris May has told us, exercise is really, really important. And whether you hit the heavy bag or just get out and go for a walk.
Yes.
Well,
I just want to point out that Dr. Nelson told you to make your bed and eat good food. That's what he told you to do today. And that's good advice all the time. So thank you, Dr. Nelson. And then Dr. Singh, you want to wrap up?
Yeah, I wish my kids would listen to that, Chris.
Exactly, it's great advice. I'm going to make my daughter watch this episode.
Hey, you're dad. You don't know anything, so I'll give him a little talk.
Yeah, there you go.
I think like when we're going through this, I tell our viewers and to the American public, don't be fearful. This is a tough time. This is a trying time. We're home. Don't live in fear. Don't panic. Plan and live through these plans. We're with you. We're going to be with you. And so there's help. There's always help on Heritage Church website. There's help with all kinds of healthcare issues. We're here for you. So we'll prepare. We'll live through this. We'll get better, and we'll be united.
Good. So I want to encourage you, as Dr. Singh said, if you need help, we want to be able to help you and point you in the right direction. But if you want to give help, particularly with regard to these masks, there's a very small window of time. The prices of those masks continue to go up and up and up as the demand continues to increase, especially if the governments begin to require us or give recommendations that the normal individual needs to be wearing a mask. Those prices are going to go higher. So we have a very narrow window to be able to get a reasonable deal on many thousands of these masks. So we have a short window of time. Would you go to heritagechurch.com? Would you find the button that allows you to give for masks? And then would you participate in setting up our doctors and our nurses and our frontline workers to win and to protect them as much as possible. We need to do that quickly. So I would imagine we only have a few more days, and then we're going to have to pull the trigger on that one and make it happen. So I want to thank you for joining us today. I want to ask you to follow us on social media. If you'd like to follow Chris May on Instagram, it's Preacher Chris. If you want to follow him on his website, it's preacherchris.com. Those are great opportunities for you to connect and to get some help and some encouragement from a trainer that is just loves working with families and individuals. And then drbishamsingh.com is his website. You can find out more about his social media through there as well. You can find out more about the campaign that he's running for the 10th Congressional District, be a representative from the state of Michigan. There's so many other things. Share with your friends, share this episode, tell your friends about it, and then tune in the next time. Be paying close attention as we go forward on the next one. We're working with bringing in some government leaders and also some other frontline doctors from emergency rooms over the next week or two to be able to talk to them about what's actually happening on the front lines. And so thank you so much. God bless you. Be safe, live wisely, and I'll be praying for you. We love you guys, and we're looking forward to being with you again next time.
Thank you.